and do you have any plan to go back and do further research?
It's a really tough time to make plans for research right now. But it's not protected, it's on public land. It is a place that can be seen in Google Earth because of the sandbags that fill up the pits and that. But the fact is that everybody in Harney County knows about it, and they take a lot of pride in the fact that that site is on their land. And so if there's anybody out there parked at the, near the location, they send me the license plate numbers, and occasionally we do a little bit of security related stuff to monitor what's going on out there. So, no, we can't really hide this place. So, you had a question?
Yes, on one of your early slides, there's a diagram and it noted near the bottom, pack rat nest.
Uh-huh.
Did you acknowledge that? So I'm kind of curious about that nest. Did you find anything? I mean, I see types of grasses and.
So the pack rat nest is something that we, to the pack rat's regret, at one point we took it apart and looked at everything that was in there. It's been pretty much rebuilt, but we did find some flake tools in there, and one of the things that attracted us to the pack rat nest, so that was after a big windstorm occurred, and we came out the next day, there was a bundle of feathers that was at the base of the pack rat nest that looked like they'd been tied together with sinew. But, so we wanted to know what was going on with that, and then we would talk to the Burns Paiute tribe about what we had found in that. But as it turned out, I found a nail that was sticking up in the rock wall, just a little bit above where those feathers were found. And that turned out that that's a feather attractant for a trap line. So it looked really good, I mean, it was scary because a feather bundle like that is an indication of something sacred. And so it has to be treated with a lot of responsibility and care, and make sure that you talk to the tribes about it. But at the same time, once we saw that it was a feather attractant, and that was explained to me by various people that came out who were trappers, I relaxed about it. So yeah, we took it apart. We did find a few flake tools, a lot of bones, things like that, but not anything more compelling. Yeah.
So any rock art or rock cairns or other indications of spiritual renewal activities in the area?
Not directly, no rock cairns or anything directly in that area, but about 5 miles away there are, and there's some that are also on some of the nearby buttes more closer, or some of the more substantial buttes, not closer, but about 10 miles away. There is a possible piece of rock art that was made with ochre. It shows up on D-Stretch, but it's kind of a amorphous sort of a presence, and we can't really make much out of it. So we've noted it, but we haven't done much with it as far as reporting it. And part of the problem with all of this, with this site, is that until we got, so when we got the first radiocarbon dates that said the site was 18,000 years in age based on camel tooth enamel, we had an anecdote, but we didn't have something that could be pronounced in the scientific literature. We could say, yeah, we have one date, and so, and it's really old, and the scientific community is gonna chew you apart for that. But so we had to gather up more radiocarbon dates and get our information together so we could present it in a more convincing path. And now we, as of last year, we have that information together, and we're working on the next step in reporting the results.
Were any of the sediment samples eligible for OSL dating or any sort of geological dating methods?
So the question is whether any of the sediments are have potential for optically stimulated luminescence dating, and that's a way of looking at how much electron trapping has occurred in the pockets of crystalline structured minerals. It's real esoteric stuff, and it's been used with great success at a number of the oldest sites in North America. We tried it out at our other site down at Sheep Mountain, but we don't have any quartz down there. We only have feldspar, and feldspar is not really reliable, and it's a real slow count. So we did get one match with a sample that was taken just below the Mazama layer out at Sheep Mountain, and that was 7.2 thousand years, 7,200 years, which isn't bad. But the others were kind of all over the place, so we can't use that very well out there. Other questions? Yeah.
You mentioned the Mazama event and in the Duff area that it went out there. Was there other seismic events that could have triggered in the area that may have also contributed to that water evolution that was lost?
Yes, so the question here is what other seismic events could have contributed to the hydrologic transition out at the site? And this site is located along a portion of the Brothers Fault Zone. So it's somewhat peripheral to the faults, associated with that, but that could have been another factor. So that's something that needs to be chased down to a greater degree by someone who's interested in the geology of the region. And one of the things that Tom Stafford and many other people have taught me over the years is that just because I'm an archaeologist doesn't mean I'm a geologist. So, I know better than to step into territory that I don't have the knowledge for. Yes?
What are the sources for that Chalcedony lake you have? Is it like a river cobble, or there's some source nearby?
So the question has to do with where that Chalcedony stone tool came from, and we don't know. So I went over to a friend's house who has been involved in things related to archaeology in Eastern Oregon. When I walked up to his studio door, there was a big chunk of material that looks dead on identical for that material from that site. He got that from an old timer that said, somewhere out there near Hampton View. And so it looks just like it, but it's not, we haven't confirmed it yet. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done on how to effectively source cryptocrystalline silicate or chert. Because it's a stone that is caused by precipitates affecting silica materials in geothermal settings. There's a lot of variation from one place to another, and not only in color, texture, but also it seems that there's a lot of variation in the mineral content of those in the same source. So people are working on that, but they haven't gotten zeroed in.
I have to remind you, you have a date with your wife.
I do, but